Good afternoon. Welcome to Entrepreneurial Live Interviews with Connie Fuchsa. I am here today to share with you the entrepreneurial journey of a lady that I met recently that has just a very interesting story about how she got on the path that she's on. And just like all of the other entrepreneurs that I've interviewed, everybody's story is so very different. But the common theme is, we are doing this because we want you to see just exactly what the entrepreneurial life looks like. Everybody has a different story, everybody has a different experience, but there's a lot of common themes. And one thing I want to share with you guys today is that the entrepreneur inside of you, or the person that sees there's something there that needs to be changed, there's a pain that needs to be fixed, there's something that you can do and you bring a special magic to it. That's what these people are doing, and that's what this is all about. So I most recently met this beautiful lady and got to hear all about her story, and I'm so excited to share her with you today. Christine, thanks so much for being with me.
Thank you for having me, Connie. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day for me.
Absolutely. Well, telling your story is all the excitement for me today. So if you would do that, would you please share with us who you are, where you come from, how you got to where you are right now, and what you're doing right now?
Okay. Well, I grew up in basically the Washington, D.C. area, and I have lived outside of Annapolis for most of my adult life. And I really enjoy this area with the water and all of the things that we are able to do around here. But I had an older brother. He was just about a year older than me. I mean, he's still alive, but growing up, of course. And but I always felt like I was growing up in his shadow. He was the male son. He was the one that was kind of doted on. And for me, as I've discovered, I felt kind of like I was the black sheep of the family then, and that really had an effect on my self confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of I didn't act out in a lot of bad ways, but I was a typical teenager in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but he hung out with a different group of people than I did, and I always felt a little bit of inferiority, like I was lacking something, and that just kind of persisted a lot into adulthood for me.
Oh.
I had 2 failed marriages. I am now on my 3rd, which is a dream. So 3 is my lucky number, and I finally got it right. But there were signs along the way. I was always working low-paying jobs. I did things that I felt fulfillment out of, but they never really gave me the monetary fulfillment that I was looking for in my life. And as I have learned in the kind of coaching that I do, if you have a lack of value or self-worth about yourself, then that is going to reflect in how much money you make.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right. Because that's kind of an energetic thought pattern, a belief pattern that I'm not worthy. And so therefore, based on law of attraction, you are attracting things that reinforce those feelings. So that's why we always need to think more positively about stuff. So anyway, the thing that kind of got me into what I'm doing now is in 2008, I was diagnosed with a chronic illness that was affecting my kidneys. And okay, I'll go see a doctor, but I'm not one to just kind of sit back and take a pill or do what the doctor says. I decided that there had to be a reason why I got sick, and there had to be a way that I could heal my body.
Mm-hmm.
So I started doing research. And I was on the computer and I was reading this and I was studying that and I was reading books and learning about diet and nutrition and all of these things about how the body is inflamed when you have a chronic illness and so on and so forth. So that was kind of the track I was going down. So I was out there with all this self-help stuff, and then I started getting these emails about a process, an alternative therapy process called EFT. It stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques. It's also known as tapping, because you end up tapping on certain acupuncture meridian points while you are talking about a life experience that has been upsetting, dramatic, traumatic to you. And it helps to reduce the stress reaction to those experiences. And I started attending some of these webinars and things like that. And I'm going, whoa, this stuff is powerful. And I had a complete life shift at that point. And that's when I decided to become a wellness coach and use this tapping technique that helps to reduce the emotional reaction to perceived dramas and traumas in our lives. And I used that on myself. I still use it on myself. I had tapping partners that I traded with, which I still do. And I started to peel away all of those layers of that lack of self-confidence, that lack of worthiness, that lack of value, all of the things that I felt were lacking in my life. And I just don't feel that way anymore.
Nice.
And it has just been a complete shift in my life that has brought me to the point of not only being a life wellness coach, because it's the life stuff that causes problems in our wellness issues, whether they're physical, mental, emotional, life in general, and just literally transformed my life. And that's what I do for my clients.
Very interesting. So let's talk first about the process of the EFT, because this is so very interesting, and I'm sure that there's so much to this. But give us just a little example on a experience. If someone was to come to you, what this is all about. What is this tapping about? I saw you tapping on your head, but what does that mean? What are we doing?
The actual process of EFT, as I said, it stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques. It is when you have a life experience that is perceived to you as being traumatic, you go into the fight or flight mode, also known as the stress reaction. And what happens is cortisol and adrenaline get released into your body. Now you're in an inflamed state. And chronic illnesses, many of them they have roots in an inflammatory body state.
Okay.
So the thing is with stress is that, especially prolonged stress, you are in this fight or flight state for prolonged periods of time, which is causing that inflammation in your body. What happens when you are in stress mode is that the blood flows from your frontal lobe here, which is your creative center.
Okay.
And it goes to your arms and legs, because the fight or flight is exactly that. Saber-toothed tiger comes into the cave, you need to fight. So you need that strength in your extremities to fight the tiger away, or you need to run away from the tiger. So it needs to be in your legs for you to be able to run away.
Gotcha.
You're not really thinking about what painting you're going to create on the cave wall that night. So you don't have to have that creative lobe of the brain working.
Gotcha.
Then what happens is that because all of this blood has rushed to your arms and your legs, now you don't have a need to be digesting your food, so that blood is being drawn from your intestinal tract. Now what happens is 80% of your immune system comes from your intestinal tract. Now your immune system is not functioning properly. Mm-hmm. So people that are in this prolonged state of stress, that is a contributing factor to those chronic illnesses that have roots in inflammatory conditions in the body. Wow. The immune system is not functioning at the level that it needs to in order to keep the body in good shape, essentially.
Wow, it's so interesting that so much of, our body is so intricate, and, we all are dealing with something in our system no matter what, but to understand the roots of how our body is doing that on a basic level. That's really interesting. So thanks for sharing that with us. So Christine, how long have you been doing your wellness coaching?
Well, I started getting certified in the EFT process in early 2012. It took a couple of years to go through that process and get certified in the technique. And I've been certified since about 2013, and that's about when I started my coaching practice.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So tell us about that. Tell us a little bit now about your coaching practice. Tell us what that looks like and how has that evolved? I mean, obviously you found this process and you said, as I said in the beginning, you said, wow, this is a need. This needs to be done. And I can bring something special to it. Because as we all know, and a lot of people don't admit to themselves, but all of us have some unique ability. No matter if there's 1,000 EFT providers out there, you have a unique ability and you saw a need here. So you decided to start a business. So let's talk about that for a minute and how that evolved. What did that look like?
Well, I decided to go into wellness issues because that's what I was facing.
Okay.
And if you go to my website, you'll see that I work with weight loss, I work with chronic pain, chronic illness, trauma, PTSD reactions, as well as addictions.
Okay.
But the underlying thing, again, of all of this stuff is stress. A person is going to turn to food or an addictive substance because they get stressed, and that substance makes them feel better. When you look into the roots of chronic illness, they all go back to a traumatic experience in a person's life. And based on what that traumatic experience was and how they reacted to that will determine what the illness is that they have, what the organ that is affected will be, and whether it's going to be an acute or a chronic problem.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, I also work with other things like fears and phobias. EFT is fantastic for that. Think about all the people that are afraid of snakes and spiders, or driving across a bridge, or getting into an elevator. I can fix that. So there's again, anything that is a perceived trauma for a person, EFT will work with. And
Christy,
I like to focus
on about
on
half of my life right there. So go ahead. I'm a pretty strong person, but the few of my little things were all in there.
Oh yeah, I know. Everybody has their hangups, right?
That's it. It's a hang up. That's right. It's not a phobia.
Yeah, it's a hang up. So essentially, I decided, like I said, to go into the wellness issues because I feel that for the most part, our conventional medical system is failing us. We go to the doctor, what are they going to do? They're going to give us a pill. They're going to treat a symptom. And the EFT doesn't treat the symptom, it gets to the root cause of what the problem is in a person's life. Where did it all start? And that is something that I had been seeking for an awfully long time. And I feel that, like I said, there's a lot of people out there that medicine is failing them and they're looking for something different.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking for that silver bullet, that thing that's going to work for them. And that's why they're going to acupuncture or Reiki or all of these other alternative modalities.
Mm-hmm.
And those are great. And I love those things. But again, there's a difference. For the most part, they're treating a symptom. Mm-hmm. What I'm doing is I'm getting to the origins of the problem, whether it's a financial issue, whether it's a relationship issue, whether it's the phobia, a wellness issue, a trauma. Just as an example, for a combat veteran that has PTSD, diagnosed PTSD, right, might have had it 10 years or more. There have been clinical studies with the EFT process that have shown that anywhere from 5 to 10 one-hour sessions of EFT can anywhere between 50 to 100% relieve PTSD symptoms in people.
Nice. Wow.
So there's Vietnam veterans out there that still have PTSD, and they've been going through therapy for decades.
Sure. That's incredible.
So what I do is I focus on basically that kind of a niche, and once I can get a person to a consultation, they 95+% of the time they will become a client, because when I can explain what I do, it makes so much sense to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I always offer a free phone consultation.
Okay.
And I just let the person talk,
Yeah.
because they normally haven't been able to talk about this.
Yeah. Gotcha.
And I become their dumping ground. So I learn so much in that consultation that when we decide to work together and we have that first session, of course, they've filled out an intake form and all of that, where I get more information about their situation. But boy, boom, that first session, we are ready to go. We are working. I'm not gathering that information. I now have it. And you get results from the very, very first session. So that's how I try to work with my clients.
Nice. So let's talk about the business side of your business for a little bit. And I appreciate you sharing about how that works, because I think your particular business is one of those that is not very widely understood. And so it's really exciting to understand how this works and some of the nuances of that. But
Yeah.
So now let's talk about the business side of your business for a minute, because ultimately we want to talk a little bit about the entrepreneurial side. So you saw this need, you decided that you were going to take advantage of getting this certification. And then at some point you said, all right, well, I'm going to open a business and I am going to have a wellness coaching business. So talk to us about the business side of that. I mean, obviously you had to do some things to open a business. I mean, you did the certification, you have that. You are now able to help people, but you had to set up some type of an actual system at business so that you could bring people in and do that. So tell us what that looks like.
Well, at first I went to a lot of networking groups, and I did that for a couple of years and did a lot of one-on-ones and things like that. I created my website. The website that I have now, I had professionally done, but I started with my own website and that I did myself, and was getting the word out there in the networking groups. It was a real hit or miss kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a buckshot approach. Oh, let me go here, let me go there. And literally after about 2 years of that, I burned out.
I bet.
And even though EFT is great for stress, we are human. And right. and so I just came to an all stop. And I had to kind of step back and again take better care of myself. And then is when I really started working on my message. How can I get the point across? What kind of terminology can I use? And so using the terms like emotional baggage, the dramas and traumas, using little snippets in emails. I must have published over 60 blogs on my website in that time. A lot of them were focused a lot on the dietary things, inflammation. Now I'm shifting more toward the mind-body connection, because that's what this is really all about. Yeah. It's whatever you're thinking and feeling and how it translates into your body and the effects it's having on your life. So I've kind of gone through several metamorphoses.
Yeah.
Now I'm working with a coach and in a group kind of a coaching thing. It's really good for me from an accountability standpoint. I am expanding and doing more things other than just the coaching. When COVID hit, oh my gosh, the stress and fear that people were going through. And for about 6 weeks, I did a free weekly online group tapping session. And people really got fantastic results from that. And it brought to light for the people that participated how they are reacting now currently to a situation in their life that started at a much earlier age. And when we neutralized that experience from an early age, then their reaction to what was going on in their life now was completely erased.
Wow.
It just was completely neutralized. And they could function.
Right. That's amazing.
They didn't feel stuck anymore. They felt like they had control, things like that. So I do things like that. I'm going to be starting a monthly tapping group where we'll focus on a particular topic each month. I want to get back into doing that. I am doing workshops. Right now, I'm creating a stress workshop, which I hope to have online sometime in the early part of next year. I want to begin working with corporations.
Nice.
Working with corporations to explain to them how you take care of the day-to-day problems of people and the conflicts within the dynamics of the personalities in their organization. They're going to be able to get more work out of everybody.
Yeah.
They're going to be able to increase their bottom line.
Nice.
And I also team up with a couple of ladies who are professional organizers. And we have been doing a clutter workshop. We did our first one in October. COVID just destroyed the one that we were going to be doing in the spring, but we're doing them every 6 months, and we'll be doing another one in October. So because clutter problems have emotional roots.
Interesting.
People buy things to fill that hole. That can be that addiction. They're trying to fill that hole within themselves. So I'm doing more of these kinds of things with the interviews and talks. I belong to an organization that creates health fairs for government agencies, because I'm right outside of DC here, and local corporations, actually even national or global corporations. So for the Department of Agriculture, I did a talk on stress a month or two ago.
Nice.
So I'm looking at doing, and I had 170 people attending that talk.
Nice.
So expanding my reach with things like this, these interviews with the various talks that I do, expanding into doing more work with corporations or larger organizations, I find is the direction that I want to go. And doing the workshops that can be done in person or online, or having the workshop kind of a self-help thing that people can do online. So I'll have that stress workshop be available in that way.
Nice. I was going to ask you how you manipulated your business to be able, because yours, I imagine, is, a lot of in-person work. And so obviously you've made some changes. So let's talk about this for a minute, because, a lot of people don't understand, and they're trying to figure out the new normal of, how things are changing and shifting. But I love how you have decided, you've seen that certain things don't work. So networking for you is not exactly the place to be. So for you decided to figure out some other opportunities, other ways you could send your message or get your message to other organizations, through the government, through large corporations. This is wonderful. So let me ask you this: when you talk about your coaching and those kinds of things, this happens to be a common theme with entrepreneurs. A lot of people will look at a coach and say, oh gosh, that's really expensive to do, and maybe, I don't need that in my business. But as things are changing right now, such an opportunity to work with a coach or a mentor or a person who's done something that you want to change in your life. So talk to us about how you found how you decided that working with a coach was good, and how you actually found who you were going to work with, because I think that's an important piece to people understanding that you're not on an island by yourself as an entrepreneur. You're in a situation where you have all kinds of opportunity to reach out to different people and ask for help and ask for advice and ask for thoughts about how things move. So how did you go about that? Because that's a big one, I think, that people just don't really understand.
Yeah, well, I didn't drop networking completely, but I limit my networking. And there's a weekly group up here in the Annapolis area that I've been going to, and the coach was in that group.
Nice.
And we had a one-on-one. And I think I actually kind of gave him an idea, because I told him that I do free consultations, and that the close rate, once I get that person to talk to me and I can explain more fully than just that 30-second blurb, that is over 95%. He, I think, kind of took that to heart, and within a week or two, he was announcing to the networking group that he was going to do free consultations.
Oh, wow. Nice. That's great. great. That's how entrepreneurs collaborate. That's a great idea.
Yeah. And so I took him up on his offer. And, we started talking. And the thing is, when you're an entrepreneur, you're a solopreneur
More
most
often
of the
than not.
time. And you're banging around in your office trying to figure out what works, what doesn't work. And it's a very isolating feeling. And I just decided, okay, I'm at a point now that I feel like I can A, afford this, and B, that I liked the idea of the group coaching
Yeah.
because we have a small group of people and we switch off accountability partners every month, and it's just a monthly meeting that we have with the coach that we're all on a Zoom call or something like that, and we're all contributing where we're talking about what we're struggling with or what our successes have been, and everybody's, oh yay, or hey, have you thought about trying this? So there's a lot of feedback in that from the other participants, not just the coach.
Gotcha.
And plus there's the accountability. There's, okay, these are the goals you have, these are what you're going to be doing within the next month, and da. So it's nice to kind of have that weekly phone call with the accountability partner, as well as the monthly goal time set to get this, and this done.
Gotcha. Very good. Yeah, yeah. I like it. I like it. And I like that, what you were talking about, the collaborating side, and sharing, networking is obviously valuable. I mean, you meet people that you don't know and you share information, but there is a limit of how much you could do, because you obviously have to do your job too. And you have to be, that is
Right.
not a money-making activity. You have to,
Yeah.
I mean, that's spreading your wings and sharing information. So
Yeah.
I love that you figured out the balance for yourself, but also, as you're talking about this, that you've learned that working with other entrepreneurs, not just the coach, but in this group, that you're getting your exposure that you need, but you're also collaborating with other people, which is so powerful, because all of you, or most of you, are in a solopreneur situation. So, and everybody has ideas and everybody has experiences, and sharing those is so powerful. I love that you're sharing that.
Yeah.
So obviously you have a lot of things that a lot of different areas, and I love that you're pivoting to find different options available for your business and different ways to get your message out. So tell us, do you have, and I don't know the structure of your business, but how, do you have anything going on, coming up, that you want to share with everybody that maybe everybody needs to know? Or, obviously with COVID, I mean, I know a lot of things have switched around, but I like that you figure out how to collaborate with other entrepreneurs about doing work projects too, like the organizing. So tell us a little bit about how that works. And also, if you have anything else going on that you want to share that maybe is a program or a special or something that you're doing.
Well, again, the clutter clearing workshop, it's called the Clutter Solution Workshop, because I'm partnering with people that do the physical organizing, but I help you get to the roots of why you have the problem. So we're getting to the source of that. And it's kind of like people organize and then it gets to be a mess again.
Yeah.
So it's like you got to have both of them. And that's why it's the Clutter Solution.
Love it.
That will be coming up on Saturday, the October 3rd. We do plan to, we have a venue in Annapolis that we want to have that at, but I'm leaning toward potentially doing it online.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to be able to have the volume by then that will be allowed in our area inside to be able to do that because of the COVID restrictions.
Yeah.
So it may be online. That will be October 3rd from 9 to noon. And like I said, I'm in the works of developing this stress workshop as well. And I hope to have that ready sometime after the first of the year, that will be available online. And then I'll start marketing it to the other corporations and so forth. But
how does somebody, are those things going to be on your website? Is the Clutter Organization Solutions, is that on your website now?
I don't have that on my website now, but if you go to thecluttersolution.com,
okay,
that will have the information. I think we need to update the link and everything, but it would be
Okay.
best actually to contact me. And yes, I'm going to be putting that blurb up there for the workshop. I
Okay.
just don't have it there yet. So that will
Very
be
good.
project for today.
Very good. Yep, there you go. There you go. And if you would do us a favor too, is add in the comments how people, that was going to be my next question. How do people reach out to you if they want to talk to you? Tell us, and then you can go back in and add in the comments. That would be great.
Okay. My website is huntforhopewellness.com. Again, that is huntforhopewellness.com. You can go to the contact page on that site and fill out the form, and I'll get an email. Be as descriptive as you possibly can in the comments area there so that I have an idea as to what it is that you are struggling with and how we would begin that conversation.
Excellent. And as we wind up here at a final thought, can you do me a favor and share with us, Christine, what is your, as an entrepreneur, what is your go-to piece of advice? What is that that thing that you always go back to when you need to wrap your head around another something, or something that's just giving you the best thought and keeps you on track?
Yeah, I think for a lot of us, it is that we run into these roadblocks. So number one, okay, why are we running into the roadblock? Again, from the EFT standpoint, what's going on with us that is keeping these kinds of things showing up? What are the hangups? What are the roadblocks? Identify what they are and find a way around them. The other thing is persistence, 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 because so many times we think, oh gosh, is this worth it? I just can't do this anymore. But what's the option? You know,
I love it. I love it. Persistence. That can have so many different meanings for people, but the best one is don't give up. You just got to keep going. No matter what's going on, you got to keep going. So, gosh, Christine, it has been such a pleasure having you with us today. So much information, so many good pieces of advice, but most importantly, I just never really knew or understood about what EFT is all about. So great story. I really appreciate you joining us today and sharing all of your personal information, but also your story and how you've gone through this transformation in your life. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. I appreciate you taking the time.
Absolutely. Guys, if you want to make sure you get to see this replay, of course, we are live now, but you can go to my YouTube channel, which is Connie Fuchsa, and subscribe there, and you can see the replay of this, but you can also catch any of the other videos we've done, interviews, and then you can also see interviews that are coming up. It's a great place to do that. You can also go to my website, which is ConnieFuchsa.com, and where you can find out more information about how I coach entrepreneurs to share the expertise and all of the valuable information in their head in a way that people that you're not reaching can understand you. So I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Thanks so much for tuning in to Entrepreneurial Live Interviews with Connie Fuchsa. I will talk to you again soon. Thanks again, Christine.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
thank you. Bye.